I am a fashion stylist, fashion designer, brand consultant, and brand specialist. And it's been over 5 years of working with both local and international brands. Today I'll be sharing my story of how I moved from that confused, always struggling young man to this guy that now takes center stage. Today I don't want to be that aspire to acquire kind of speaker. Today I'm just going to give you premium gist about my life, and I hope it inspires you. I remember 8 years ago when I was just before I was admitted into University to study medicine. I just finished a quick fashion design course in Lagos, and for a split second, I was hoping, okay, maybe this admission should not pull through. So I'll use this 1 year and try my hand in fashion design. Then, if it works out, in the next jam, I'll now apply for a 4-year course. So I'll be done sharp and find something else to do. But jokes on me, I was admitted immediately. And the first year was confusing as well as exhausting because I didn't get why everyone was so focused on passing exam. Like from the moment we walked into the campus, everything was passing exam, moving to Octavia. It was like everyone was gradually primed into thinking medical school is all we have in life, and there is no room for other ambitions, for other hobbies and any other thing. And for most people it was okay, but for me I wasn't having it. I'm a Lagos boy, we're always all over the place. So as you can imagine, in the first month I found myself busy with graphics designing. And I remember one day in our chemistry lab, it was overcrowded there, and we didn't even have public address system. So the lecturer was teaching, but it was hard to follow. So I got out my iPad and I was practicing the graphics design, and a guy who I later identified as my classmate walked up to me and said, "You, this guy, we don't do this thing here. And if you want to do medicine, you have to focus on medicine, if not, you fail out." And I've been hearing that for like all the time I entered school, but for somebody to walk up to me, the courage, and tell me that, and just walk out even without a response, it was shocking. And I remember after that encounter, the first 1 week I said, no, I must be serious like my mates. I'm going to go for 9th class. Ladies and gentlemen, that lasted 1 week. And after 1 week, I was back on the streets, and I put my hand everywhere. EasternStyling fashion show and award, I was a designer there. I was doing things. I joined pageantry, fashion show. I was doing everything. And as you can imagine, in school, before you knew it, exam was not doing. I failed woefully. I failed to the extent that I was surprised at the level of failure. I passed just enough to just get one leg in OctaFX. And when I got to OctaFX is our pre-medical school. And when I got there, I decided, okay, I'm going to be serious. No jokes, no other thing. I'm going to face my book. Those 2 years were the most depressing. Did I pass? I passed. But was I alive? I was just living. And for me, that was not the life I wanted. I remember during COVID, I wanted to say glory be to God for COVID, but let me not say that. I remember the COVID break was very favorable to me. That was my first job as an assistant stylist at Multichoice for Big Brother Reunion. I remember seeing all the celebrities for the first time, and I'm like, wow, are you sure I'm not supposed to be here? But at that time, I was already in 400 level, so I couldn't leave medical school to enter a new career I had no idea about. And this particular profession, I really liked it, but was I willing to leave medical school for it? No. And was I willing to just choke all my legs there and forget everything else? No. So I decided to see if there was a way I could merge everything. That didn't go so well, but I'll tell you why. Fast forward to today, I graduated from medical school this morning. I have worked with several national and international brands like Netflix, Multichoice, GuardianLife. The list is endless. And I know by now you're wondering what changed. I also wonder that sometimes. I understood the power of our mind. So I remember being frustrated then. If you've been to OctaFX, OctaFX is a big forest. There's really nothing. There is no social amenities sort of, and you might not even have network, so you're on your own. So I stayed there for 2 years, and I thought to myself, this cannot be all to life. So I decided to work on myself. And that's why I stumbled upon books like Law of Attraction and all these things. And I understood that I'm actually capable of doing all these things if my mind is set to actually do it. Now, I don't want to be that aspire to perspire guy. We are getting somewhere. When I understood that I can be all these things, that was when my life changed. But before then, I started working a path which I now call Uzo the formula. Now, in as much as it's okay for you to think, or for your mind to grasp that, okay, in 5 years I can be a millionaire, in 5 years I can be a billionaire, is another thing to believe, and is another thing to actually put in the work necessary. And based on that, I developed Uzo, the formula. Uzo is in simple terms, just the surface I developed when I was frustrated. Then I failed in a lot of things. Like I failed in having money, keeping money, doing virtually everything. But the failure that really got to me was in school. I was reading, so why wasn't I passing? It was confusing. And that was when I developed Uzo, the formula. In Igbo, Uzo means way. And if I were to use it in a sentence, it would be like Gosimu Uzo, which is show me the way. But my favorite interpretation is what we millennials like to say, hot soup for me. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be cutting soup for you. Uzo the formula. This is how to get to anywhere you want in life. The bottom is where you are currently, and the top is where you hope to be in 5 years. Now, the best part of Uzo is Uzo works on any goal, small or big. It works best on big goals anyway. And in this, you understand that where you hope to be is a series of or a flight of stairs, and all you need to worry about is the next step. Now, I'll briefly mention all of them. Research. If you hope to be a millionaire in 5 years, you need to ask yourself, what do I need to be a millionaire? What skills are necessary to be a millionaire? Are there people that are already doing that? So in your research, you have to table down what is required of me. Do I need to learn new skills? Do I need to meet more people? What exactly do I need to do to get to that level? When you get your research, it's best you pen it down. Next phase is mentorship. I can't overemphasize this. In every area of my life, I have a mentor. I have a mentor for school, for work, for church. Church, we call it spiritual fatherhood. I have a mentor for every phase of my life. And the best part of mentorship is, with a mentor, you can be where your mentor has been. You can know who your mentor knows. Your mentor basically opens the door for you. And for me, what I've come to understand is most people don't understand mentorship. You expect your mentor to be chasing you, but in real life, your mentor is not your father or your mother. They have their own responsibilities. So you have to be willing to put in the work. I remember when I stumbled on my first mentor, Winifred. As a then, she was named Wonder Woman because of the distinction she had. When I approached her, she was not into mentorship, but I knew for my next level, I had to have her as a mentor, and I persisted. And today, we are in good terms. Next is focused work. Now, it's okay to dream. I want to be in medical school, or I hope to graduate, or I want to have a car by 2024. All these things are nice. It's even okay to actually believe you can actually do them. But are you ready to put in the work? Most young people now, no shades. Most people are not ready to put in the work. I remember when, for us at OctaFX, biochemistry was a big issue. And I failed it twice after reading, and I couldn't understand why. So when my mentor explained what the problem was, I read biochemistry every morning for two years, and I passed. So you have to be willing to put in the work in any area of your life. Just get the work done. If you need to learn a course, if you need to put in more work, if you need to work longer hours, if you need to read more at night, put in the work. Now, the fourth one is self-honesty. I tell people it's okay to lie to everybody. You can lie, just keep lying. But you cannot lie to yourself. Because if you lie to yourself, you bury yourself. And for me, through medical school, I've come to understand that if you don't know something, cry for help. In Igbo, they call it Okaria Itiempu, let people come to your aid. So that's about self-honesty. If you want to be a millionaire, you have to Be honest with yourself. Is this groundnut I'm selling going to fetch me 1 million? I remember when I spoke to a business mentor and I said, oh, I want to be a billionaire by so age. And he asked me, is it by styling? Initially, it was confusing. I'm like, so are you saying a stylist cannot be a billionaire? And yes, it is hard for a stylist to be a billionaire. That's why I diversified into business consultation. So if you want your 5-year goal, when you find it, be honest with yourself. Would this get me to where I want to be? If not, look for your way. Not see, know God, and follow peace with all men. I cannot overemphasize this. I'm a strong believer in God. It's one thing to go to church and it's one thing to know God. I advise everyone, know God for yourself.
Amen.
I'm not going to go too much into that. But follow peace with all men. It's one thing for God to bless you. And it's another thing for you to be at peace with men. Because when doors are closed, you need a man on the inside to recommend you. So it's important on your journey to whatever goal you hope to achieve. It's important you follow peace with all men and know your God. Know this is actually the will of God for you. And with that, I'll quickly summarize. Uzo works for everyone and anyone. And what I've come to understand, Uzo works best for big goals. So it's okay to dream big. Don't let anybody tell you, oh, this is too big for you. There's nothing like that. Dream big. Use the Uzo formula. And it is really exciting to know that your mind is a reflection, or your life is a reflection of your mind. Wherever you are now is because you want to be there. And with this, I am so excited to be here. And thank you all for listening. Thank you very much.